welcome to That's What I'm Talking About, the show that I started 4 years ago to experience Lord of the Rings for the first time, and then I was done experiencing it, and I was going to start a Star Wars podcast, and then the WGA and SAG-AFTRA strikes started, and I couldn't cover Star Wars anymore, so I came back to That's What I'm Talking About, and then literally the week that I came back to That's What I'm Talking About, the WGA strike ended, but the SAG-AFTRA strike is still going on, so Star Wars is still technically struck work, but in the meantime, we are here doing Drunk Middle-earth history. Woo! Welcome, my Feanor homies. Bayana and Delia.
Man, what a title.
Oh
wow.
my gosh.
There
Isn't
was
that a great intro?
Child, and now
It's a
there's
great-
Feanor's
Yes.
homies.
So the
man.
first couple guests I've reached out to for this, I kind of like gave a list of like, here are some ideas of what we could do, or like, do you have something in mind that would excite you? With you guys, I was like, I think we should talk about Feanor, and I think it'll be a good call. First, I don't know, what have y'all been up to? I feel like it's been a while. What's up?
Ooh.
How's it going in your worlds?
Man, surprise question.
There's been what hasn't been going on is the real question, but
That's so real.
but on the like creative side, I don't remember the last time we were on this podcast. So at the beginning of August, my podcast Wizard Team, we started reading Legendborn. We do close read of Black fantasy books, and so we're doing Legendborn by Tracy Dion right now. We're like halfway through, I think, which is kind of crazy, but we do 3 chapters episode, and that's been really fun.
Hey, y'all, if y'all haven't read Legendborn, why not?
Yeah, you should definitely read it first of all, and then you should listen to our podcast, but you should read it first because we spoil it all.
It's very good.
That's
the book
dope.
and the podcast.
That's dope. I need to, ironically, for the host of this podcast, I need to read more books. I am really I'm just a slow reader these days. I think as a kid and a teenager, and like even in college, like I read books pretty fast. But like now that I'm an adult, I feel like I just don't have as much time anymore, and that's just like a fact of life that I've had to come to accept. And also, I'm reading a horror book that I started reading at the beach. And I got like halfway through, and then I was like, I don't think I can read this in my apartment by myself.
No,
so
not at
I have
all.
a book where a rule is I can't read it in my apartment. So
Yeah.
that also makes it complicated.
Yeah. I only started I fell off of reading for a while and then started again like during the pandemic. And now that's like my only hobby, I would say. Everything else is
That's
like,
nice. I
I'm
have
very
too many
busy,
hobbies.
but it's also work, so it's weird for me. It's both work and a hobby. But that's kind of all I do at this point.
I've been reading more this year, which is nothing to touch Bayana or, quite frankly, any of my friends, let's be real. But I got back into reading. I got a library card, and the audiobooks just really have been carrying me through. Partly because I started playing Tears of the Kingdom earlier this year, and I'm like, okay, this doesn't feel very productive because I'm spending a lot of time. So how about we listen to some stuff while I play? So part of it was books, and that in a roundabout way.
So you listen to like audiobooks and like podcasts and stuff while you play video games?
I do.
That is, I didn't know that type of person existed until a couple years ago. And that, I don't know, like my brain wouldn't be able to focus on either thing, I feel like. Like I would either pay attention to the audio thing, and then I would be like, oh, I just got absolutely slaughtered by Ganon for the millionth time. Whoops.
Yeah, you definitely have to pause sometimes. You're like, hold up.
Like, what's happening?
I was getting the first time, spoilers, I guess, for Tears of the Kingdom-ish. Not the storyline, but Gloom Hands. Spoilers for that.
Oh my God, terrifying. Oh.
Yeah, super terrifying. And the first time I fought them, I was listening to a book, and I was like, I had to pause my game. I was like, pause. I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have fought them in general, but with my 5 little hearts. But anyway, I won. It's very stressful. Did you
first encounter, it's so crazy to me with Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild too, how it's this insane open world game and like you can do anything in any order basically that you want. but there's still certain events that, like, the way they've created the game and like structured things, there's still certain events that like the majority of players do in a certain order. And one of them is that when you first land, there's this shrine up on a floating rock nearby. And I went there, and on your way there, it triggers, like, you get to a certain part of the location and it triggers the gloom hand showing up. And so I've been like watching some what do you call them when YouTubers play video games? Let's plays. That's it. I've been watching other people playing it, and a lot of them encountered gloom hands for the first time there, like I did. And I'm like, that's wild that like so many people that like they have a path, but you don't have to follow it, but a lot of people end up following it anyway.
I experienced it the first time in another area that a lot of people do. There's like an orchard kind of nearby, and there are gloom hands there. I like fell to earth, was like, okay, first things first, we got to go get some food. Ooh, look, some trees. And then immediately was set upon by these gloom hands.
Absolutely terrifying.
Traumatizing.
Nightmare fuel.
So other than that, what I've been up to, I have a podcast. The first season is wrapped, and the second season should be coming in.
Oh my God, that's so exciting.
October-ish, maybe early November.
I feel that.
Depends on vibes. Depends on vibes and some things.
September
It's September 27th as we speak.
It flew.
This is coming out October 10th. I don't know.
The fact that it's coming out in October is crazy. Just the fact that we're that close.
I can't believe September is. I'm still in the mindset of like, man, I can't believe summer just ended.
Come on.
It's like, girl, it's been a month. Like,
especially where we are. You're in like Southern Virginia, right? And I'm in the DMV. Like, it's fall. I had my window open all day today.
Except for it's supposed to be. Oh, go ahead, Bayana.
I was gonna say it's hot over here, but it doesn't stop being hot until like mid October is when it starts to like cool off. So I'm like still in shorts.
I keep expecting we're having way too early of a fall for Virginia, and I'm like, no, I'm not falling for this. This is fool's autumn, and we are about to have third summer. And all of this is only happening because the hurricane. Now we're just talking about the weather. This is so boring. No one cares about this.
We're so good at this, guys. All three of us are podcasters.
I hope wherever you are that you're experiencing whatever seasonal vibes that you want to, whether that is late summer, early fall. Maybe you're in Australia and I think it's spring. I don't know. Whatever.
Who can say?
Y'all are good. Y'all got it.
So let's talk about Feanor, this bitch. When I sat down to like make my notes for this, I wrote all of this sober, and I think I'm gonna run through this like timeline, basically his like timeline of life events. I'm just gonna run through it real quick, what I wrote down, and I think I did a relatively good job of summing it up. Okay, so drama from the start, mommy and daddy issues, step sibling beef, petty, thinks he's God's favorite child because he made the Silmarils, and then apparently I added petty AF. So 2 points before I already put petty, and then I added in petty AF. Followed by he and Melkor need to fuck. Melkor fucking shows him up. Leads a coup when things don't go his way. Abandons brother when he won't join the coup. Coerces children to swear to an oath to remain petty until they die, aka get the Silmarils back. Murders own kin. Abandons remaining brother when he won't murder kin. Ignores when the underworld demigod warns them that they're about to suffer. Lands in Beleriand, immediately suffers. Thinks he can take on Morgoth, gets his ass handed to him, dies. Leaves his children with the impossible burden of getting the Silmarils, leading to each of their eventual downfall and continued discontent among the elves for hundreds of years to come. But he made some pretty stones, I guess.
I would only edit that he dies at the hand of his unrequited love.
What? Melkor?
Yeah.
Although doesn't he get got by a Balrog? Like he doesn't even
technically.
Get like was Melkor even
it's
there?
Still
Did he
at
even
his
care?
hands. Sort of, yeah.
Was he like, handle my light work or? How did this happen?
Which is so rude because, like, Feanor is absolutely in love with this man and this, God being.
Being whatever.
I just see Melkor being like, oh, well, like,
Yeah.
you already hurt me, so now I'm just on my, you want to be petty, I can be even more petty.
There's some line, I don't have my copy in front of me, but there's some line about how, like, Feanor sought to keep Melkor close within his... whatever. And I'm like, and it's like, and Melkor too sought to keep close to Feanor. And I'm like, yeah, like, because they're both like the same type of person almost. Maybe not. That's going to offend a lot of Feanor apologists. But
those exist?
Yeah, there are legit. I want to think that they're joking and being like satirical and whatnot, but there are legit people who are like hashtag Feanor did nothing wrong, and I'm like, what?
It's so true. I only know because on Tumblr, like, I follow some tags, and so sometimes through those tags, I will also see these Feanor apologist posts. I'm like, are you okay?
No, do you not remember that I don't know if you guys are active on TikTok still, or if you were at all, or
we didn't do Wordle. We don't.
We sound like the oldest ladies.
I was gonna
we're
say,
just like,
and we're like,
you're like
not
my
old.
age. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Like we're all
we're
the
on
same
the
age
cusp
group.
of like, Gen Z millennial, and I think we just both said nah.
Nah, that's fine. I respect that. It sucks up too much of my time and energy. But there's a trending TikTok sound that it's like, he was a great guy. And then someone goes, but what about the murder? And he goes, what murder? And like, that's literally Feanor apologist.
Yeah.
Wow. I learned something new today.
Fun.
I don't know.
I
it just never occurred to me that anyone would think that Feanor was anything other than like a hilarious like asshole, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if you also have your own mommy and daddy issues, you're like, I see where he's coming from. And representation for all, I guess.
Representation for those mommy and daddy issues. Yeah, don't you hate it when you just like kill a whole bunch of your own people? Representation, man. It matters.
Y'all weren't there. They weren't giving up them ships.
There were extenuating circumstances. It's fine. It made sense at the time. Okay, so I guess let's go to the beginning of his life. He's born, and immediately his mom is like, I'm done.
I know.
It makes me laugh so much. So they have this baby. It's Feanor, and she's immediately like, all of the life has been sucked out of me. I'm ready to die.
I just think it's like, I know nobody listening to this is new to Lord of the Rings or Tolkien at all, but I just need people to understand, like, this is not a human. Like, she doesn't have to die. No. Like, she could live.
She literally chose
She said, you know what? I'm going to go. Doesn't she go into like some forest? She goes
into like a garden and I think goes into like a meditative state. Yeah. And then I think it's that like her soul is ready to like go on. And so I think like her soul dies, but her body is still there.
Because they're still visiting the body, which, elves are weird. I think we don't talk about that enough. Elves are weird.
They're weird.
I'm God weird.
Yeah. And they're like Tolkien's favorite. I use the phrase like God's favorite child so many times, but like the elves are literally God's favorite child in this universe. And like it makes so much, it puts so much of the rest of like the scope of this world and the like entire timeline into perspective when it's like, oh, he loved the elves and everyone else, fuck you. Like, dwarves, you're gonna have the worst time of your life. Like, you're gonna be like on your own, like not exiled. You're gonna be, dispersed because a dragon attacked your entire land and people are gonna look down on you. But elves, they're pretty and they made some cool rings. Like,
they're really good at jewelry.
Right.
Yeah. Every kiss begins with K. Every trilogy and tale of a whole like world building begins with Feanor.
And they're just, it's so fun though, learning like all of this early history of the elves, because like your impression of them in Lord of the Rings is like, oh, they're perfect, they're angelic, they're both, and then like cut to hard cut to like Feanor killing his own people. Like,
it honestly makes me reading the Silmarillion made me. I never thought when I finished reading Lord of the Rings that I would ever want to read it again. But after I read the Silmarillion, I was like, I kind of want to reread this because I have more context. I know how like messy and like ridiculous the elves are, and I feel like it would enhance the experience.
The elves have such good PR in Middle Earth. By the Third Age, everybody's like, oh my gosh, y'all are the best. But like, they are the whole reason everything is the way it is. Well,
I mean, it's Feanor's fault.
Well,
not that it's all.
It's
of
also
their
Manway's fault, but like,
it's
Manway.
It's like it's a lot of people's faults. It's a lot of people's faults.
Feanor is Manway's fault.
I think at some point, any of the Valar could have stepped in and helped a little bit, and they didn't.
They did not.
So,
like, what are y'all doing? Like, that's a different episode. But like,
I know. I think I've brought that up in every one of these episodes that I've done so far. Is how the Valar did nothing. They just sat over there, being like, "Oh, what a shame that you guys are fighting our like estranged brother."
Mm-hmm. Right? It's like it's
sorry
your
about
problem.
that war you're doing.
Y'all are related. Like, what do the elves have to do with this? This is your family,
like,
your blood. And then you said, hate to see it.
And like, didn't even really tell them like, we're not cool with him anymore. In fact, y'all were like, yeah, Melkor can come around again, I guess. And then Melkor caused mess, and y'all were like,
yeah, Modway was the one to be like, oh, you're good now? Okay. We'll release you from prison.
Like, frankly, Feanor did not like Melkor. So like, although all this is Feanor's fault, he was smarter than him in that way.
He knew. He was like, something ain't right. I'm gonna keep an eye on this one. And he was correct, you know, like we won't give him that much credit, but
not too much.
Not too much credit. But he definitely was correct to be like, something's not right with Melkor. But also, he was not so smart that he like didn't fall into a lot of like Melkor's traps.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
but
like,
they were all of them deceived as as you would say.
Multiple people are deceived in the history of of like Middle Earth and Tolkien. Just like
deception,
a lot of deception.
Supreme.
Yeah.
Deception followed by pettiness. Like those two together.
I'm trying. I want to just note, sorry, my restraint, despite, you know, being inebriated. I wanted to sing Lion King 2, but I didn't.
Deception. Disgrace.
I did it for you. Thank you.
You know, I never saw Lion King 2. I was more of a Lion King 1.5 girly.
Oh, boy.
Both of them.
I know enough to know that Kovu is hot.
He is hot.
Yes!
Essentially it.
No, wait, didn't we? Me and Delia actually
we did.
We rewatched Lion King 2 like at the beginning of the pandemic. We watched it together and like both realized that
great.
Kovu is like the root of like our love of enemies to lovers.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
At a formative
where it
time,
begins.
you know?
And it's so good.
It's
okay.
so good. It still slaps. Okay. Anyway, that has nothing
Okay.
to do with this.
Literally, no, it does. It does because it's our origin story into liking enemies to lovers, which Feanor and Melkor are.
They should have been.
Right.
What?
Yeah.
What? Let's go. Okay. So Feanor's born. His mommy immediately is like, I'm ready to die now. His dad remarries. My previous guest pointed out that it's actually a really big deal that he remarries because it's like, it's the first instance of like stepmom, step sibling, or not. I guess the subsequent kids that they had would have been half siblings, but like, it's like the first instant. Like elves don't usually do that blended
they
family
mate
stuff.
for life,
yeah,
or whatever in the animal kingdom.
and is it Finway's fault that his dad? Is it his fault because he is potentially trying to make up for his mom dying, or but like he definitely lets Feanor know like, you're the golden child of this entire universe and you're special, and don't let anyone tell you you're not special. And then that leads to things happening.
Yeah.
Or is he trying to be a supportive father?
No, it's definitely also Finway's fault.
Yeah.
I think that's the title of this episode. Just like
also
Finway's fault.
Also Finway's fault.
Yeah, I guess so, because it's also like maybe he felt a little guilty about you know, being like, oh yeah, now I have like a new wife, and I feel like weren't they born when Feanor was? I don't really remember or know like what
older, yeah,
like age, you know, like what the you know, like what the.
But he was definitely old enough to like know what was up.
Yeah, and to know that it's like uncommon.
Yeah.
So maybe
which
that,
is wild
like,
because.
I mean, but again, I mean, I don't know, but I will say therapy could have fixed or at least helped.
Look, therapy could fix a lot of things in the entire Tolkien legendarium.
Like, I would say that Finwë, yeah, he had a like hand in molding Feanor into like how he became, but at the end of the day, Feanor made those decisions.
Eventually, like, you become an adult, and it's like, okay, it's time to, you know, unlearn some things and improve yourself.
Yeah, but as we go through the timeline, it's not like Finwë is ever like Feanor. Chill.
Yeah, he doesn't ever really step in and be like, hey, maybe.
He literally be pulling out a sword. They don't even have swords yet.
Right.
Like, it's not like a thing.
Right,
and Feanor is like pulling it on his brother.
Exiled because he pulled the sword on his brother. And then Finwë is like, nah,
it's like,
but I'm
I'll go
with you. Okay, so.
Rather than being like, hey, maybe let's chill.
Not.
He's like, I will go into exile with you, and it's like literally no one like is
almost even like he's telling off the Valar. He's like, look, if he's exiled, I'm exiled. And everybody's like, okay,
literally like no one asked. Like, okay, if you want to. And that is because of what Melkor did, you know, being sneaky and planting all these rumors and being like, I heard that. Have y'all watched Umbrella Academy at all?
I have not.
I
know of it, though.
The first episode.
Well, all you need to know is that there's a character who goes, I heard a rumor, and then whatever she says, the person is like influenced to do or whatever. Anyway. And so Melkor comes in and is like, I heard a rumor that your brother wants to take the throne of the house of, which is so confusing because like the like all the like 50 different subsections of elves, it's not like Finwë is the king of the elves. He's just like the head of one of the.
Yeah.
Oh, he is king of the. Okay, never mind.
Well, he's king of the.
Noldor specifically.
Is king like the official title, or is he just like head of the house?
I think it's like
kingship
high king
of the
something.
Noldor.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, well then I take all that back.
It's
But
just
anyway,
Noldor though, like it's not like all of them.
All of them. It's just that particular.
Yeah, and like instead of Feanor being like, "Hey, bro." Is the like, do you want the throne, you know, when dad's ready to step down? He's like, let's fucking go. I'm gonna cut you. We're gonna fight. And that's when, they get exiled and everything. And Melkor's like, he. It's all coming together. And then that's when the darkening of Valinor happens. That's what we talked about in last week's episode. And then, picking up after the darkening of Valinor, they come to Feanor and they're like, hey, we need some light in this place. And those rocks you made are really cool and would really help us to like bring, do you guys know or remember, like, is there plan to use the Silmarils to like bring the trees of Valinor back to life? Or is it just to like create a new light source using the Silmarils or something?
I think it was I thought it was to create a new light source, but I don't know that as a fact.
Yeah, I definitely just like skimmed the wiki before, so I assumed
same.
Yeah, I assumed it was the
basically they need a new light bulb, and Feanor is the only Home Depot in all of Valinor.
And not only does he have the only Home Depot, luckily he's stocked with like the newest, fanciest color changing LED.
Yeah, he has the Bluetooth. Yeah, exactly. Color changing LED that like you can time with music and apps and stuff. And he's like, no. Oh, I wish I could help you, but I can't.
He really is just like, oh
said,
man, that's so wild. That's so crazy. Oh no.
Wow, I wish I could help. Actually, if you just gave us anyway, so
like I was saying.
And then meanwhile, his dad is being like attacked and their like house that they were exiled into, and he gets killed, and that's when Melkor takes the Silmarils.
I
And
do
it's like-
remember reading that and being like, "That's what he gets." Like,
Yeah.
like,
Well,
this
if it
is what you
isn't,
get.
I
Like,
just love.
you can't even give
being
them
like-
because now you don't have them. Like, haha.
Exactly. Yeah.
Don't
like
you feel
if it
silly?
not the consequences of my own actions, just like
Very much. That's the story of Feanor right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
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 But he like
Karma's a
somehow
bitch.
died not feeling any sense of like I don't feel
Remorse
like he
or-
learned, like he didn't learn his lesson. Like
No, he
none
did
of that
not
made
learn his
him
lesson
think
at
he
all.
maybe should have like changed.
He was like, wow, what like I was wronged so many times over life. There's nothing I could have done that would have prevented this terrible end to my life. Like I
Wow.
did nothing wrong. Like
That
truly.
Yeah.
Which brings us back to Feanor apologists. Are y'all good? Like,
Maybe I should have had a Feanor apologist on just to be like, what's the
oh man,
I would
what's the
feel
defense
bad
here?
'cause-
What's the perspective that you're coming?
I would feel a little
from.
bad because, like, I understand how fandom works. Like, you have your faves and you will
Yeah.
go up for them. Like, I have mine, and I'm not going to talk about them because I don't need to be fighting on the internet. But are
Yeah,
y'all
but, like,
good?
I have
just need to
evidence
know.
when I talk about how Faramir is actually the best character in all of the Tolkien Legendarium. I have evidence to back that up, and that like if oh my god, I'm getting all the fucking F names confused. If Faramir had gone instead of Boromir, maybe we could have avoided a lot of problems.
Mhm.
But
That's
that's
true.
not how plot works. Anyway, that's an entirely other episode. So
Part 2.
yeah, so then that's when, you know, Valinor is dark. Melkor took the Silmarils, and Feanor's like, hey, this idea of like an idealistic like heaven society that y'all painted for us, I'm not really feeling it anymore. The vibes are off. It's not fun here anymore. Like this isn't what I signed up for. Let's get out of here.
I'm going to say, I'm not with the Feanor apologist, but only in this moment, even when originally reading Silmarillion, I was like, okay, he's right though. Like, this is
Yeah.
y'all's fault ultimately.
Yeah, absolutely. I will also say, like, when I was skimming the Feanor wiki, yes.
Yeah.
The
Yes,
most
as we all
recent
did.
thing-
I'm
yeah.
assuming we
I
all
was like, it's
skimmed
been a
the
minute,
wiki.
so let me just skim it. But the most recent like Tolkien thing I read was the Fall of Numenor, and so like it was super funny to watch him be like, they're keeping Middle Earth from us, and like the last thing I read from the from Middle Earth was the Numenorians being like, they're keeping Valinor from us. And I was like, y'all are dumb.
like-
Like this, the time is like a flat
It's just
circle.
always like grass is greener on the other side
Yeah,
kind
I'm
of
like,
a thing.
come on.
Yeah.
And then also like, Sauron playing on that in Numenor and Morgoth obviously in Feanor's head. Like if you don't trust this guy,
Damn, I forgot that
why
Sauron
are
comes to
you listening
Numenor.
to
Anyway,
yeah, but I'm just like with Melkor, I'm like, or for Feanor, if you don't trust Melkor, you don't like this dude.
why
think
would you
he's up to no
believe
good.
him when he's?
Why do you believe?
It's
anything
because
that he
it's
says?
because he's playing into those like insecurities that that he knows Feanor has. He knows that Feanor has this like these like issues with the rest of his family and everything, and he's like, I think it's more likely that he'll believe me if I'm talking shit about his brothers than if I were to try to be like, hey bestie, in that moment Feanor is more attracted to like the sense of power than he is by being like, maybe I shouldn't listen to this evil demon.
It's confirmation bias.
Maybe this evil demon is right.
Sometimes you see the demon in you and others. So
Now, I could argue, so a lot of this is like very biblically
Yeah.
based on the Bible, a lot of it is biblical. And you could say that like, this vision of Valinor going off the rails is not due to the Valar. It's because like it's going off of the tracks of like God's vision, and like God had this vision for what Valinor would be and what Arda would be, and it was because of sin. And God, I feel like
I will say, I just feel like this is
I
a
need
good
to like
moment to like admit that I'm a Melkor apologist. So sorry.
oh damn, the truth.
Just needed to
comes
say.
like
out.
no, we kind of both are because There's a lot of reasons.
There's a
but
lot
like,
of reasons. We talked about this when we did our
I want to be
podcast.
clear that like I'm just trying to think of this in like a purely like literary sense of being like, if a lot of this was influenced by the Bible and just like comparing it and talking about like these ideas of like original sin and like the idea of free will was not in God's original plan for people. And like, that's essentially what's happening in Valinor right now, is that like the elves are doing whatever they want. They're dealing with the consequences of Melkor, who's like ruined everything. And so like, yeah, this is not the vision that Iluvatar painted, because all this other shit happened that he didn't expect to happen. And that's why Feanor is like, hey, let's go over there. Let's sail away and go to the other land that's really far away, and I'm sure it'll be fine when we get over there.
what on earth could go wrong?
Our people, like our fathers, worked so hard to get us here.
Literally.
Let's leave.
What on earth could go wrong? Slam cut to Feanor dying like 5 minutes after
Immediately, like he wasn't even there for that long.
Okay, but I wanna go back. Explain why you guys are Melkor apologists.
Oh, this is easy. It's because personally, I just feel like Melkor just wanted to throw a little stank on the beat, you know? Like they did the like Iluvatar song. He was just like, you know, DJ Khaled, we the best. Like this is the remix. I feel like
sure, yeah,
he should have been able to do that. Everything just felt like it would have been real boring. The way, I mean, you know, not to, you know, sorry to Iluvatar and all that, but I just feel like Melkor had an idea, and maybe you could have, you know, collaborated or something. But instead,
there is something to be said about like this idea of like, I don't know, conformity, and like when you speak out against that, and that like it in this context, in this like narrative frame, it's looked down upon of like, hi, I have an original idea, rather than just like blindly going along with like whatever the, you know, leader is suggesting.
Right. Also, he has dragons and Balrogs. So that's
yeah, it's pretty dope.
Important.
Yeah, that's I'll accept that point as well.
That's basically it. It's that he brings the creative energy, and yeah, Balrogs and dragons. That's it. Like he's wrong in a lot of ways. Yeah, but like in some pretty key ways, he's right.
But also,
it's more
dragons.
Like at first, you know. And I think as he goes along, it's like, okay, I can't really excuse all of that.
Yeah, sometimes it gets
like
to a point where it's
the
like
initial like thought, you know, that he had wasn't a bad one. The execution was what's off. But again, dragons and Balrogs. So,
which is so funny because it's like a lot of artists in real life. You're like, that first album drops, and then they keep going, and you're like, what are you? Are you? Oh, so that ism or that phobia. Okay, well,
yeah, it's like, oh, you were pretty cool to start with, and then you got on Twitter, and
yeah, basically,
it was a bad idea. Yeah,
Melkor got on social media, and it all kind of
it was bad. He was essentially J.K. Rowling until
unfortunate.
Yeah, oof. So yeah, that's when so again, talking about that Feanor wiki, I was looking at the family tree. I forgot that Fenway has 5 total children. 2 of them are daughters that like I completely forgot about and are non-existent essentially in the narrative. Like almost all of the women are.
As with many women.
Yeah.
Don't worry about them.
God. Anyway, so he has 2 other brothers, and the first brother is like, no, I'm not leaving. We're staying here. This is a bad idea. And then that's when they go to their elfkin who like live like off the shores of Valinor. So they have they're the ones with these like boats, and they're described as like having like swan carvings and stuff. And I saw this Tumblr post that was like, imagine the kinslaying, but it's those like Tunnel of Love swan boats. And that killed me. I was like, I love this, and I need that in like a cinematic universe.
The way the Teleri are described, it's like it could have been like,
yeah,
like I'm sure it was some like intricately carved boat and like all this, and I'm pretty sure there's a reference to this when the Fellowship are leaving where is it where Galadriel is? They're leaving
Lothlorien.
her forest, Lothlorien. And I'm pretty sure that they're in like swan boats.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's like, you know, a callback to this like original like craftsmanship and stuff. But just the idea of them being these.
She was definitely
She was
out there.
out there during the kinslaying. She didn't
Yeah.
start it.
That's right.
Yeah.
I forgot. Oh yeah, Galadriel's here doing all.
She's definitely
forgot.
here.
That's really messy,
Who's
actually,
her
of
dad?
her.
I forgot.
Finarfin.
Galadriel father.
I just know her brothers.
Finarfin,
Yeah.
who was the
One of the brothers.
like
third brother.
He's the one that's like in between, like,
The
guys,
second brother.
don't
He was the
fight.
one I
Stop,
think that.
please.
I don't know. Oh wait, did I just click
You
those
did.
balloons?
You did.
You know,
Are you like a Finarfin, like, fan?
What happened? I literally wasn't even in the Zoom window. I was in Google. I typed in Galadriel father. Okay, so I think what happened with the kinslaying, both of the brothers do the kinslaying, and then Feanor's like, great, let's steal their boats and get out of here. And Finarfin's
Right.
like, I don't know, that's a little extreme.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Right.
at that point, it's like, you've already killed everyone. Why not just take the boats?
well, I thought
like,
there was
what's
one
more
group that
crime?
didn't do it. I thought there was like
Well,
one that did
that's
because they
the
didn't
third
because they
brother.
thought that like nothing had happened.
Yeah.
Or they
Finar-
or not
no,
that they
Finarfin-
thought that like they had been attacked, so they were like, oh, we're gonna fight
Yeah.
back. And then the third
Yeah,
group
like-
didn't. but I
Oh,
don't
okay, that's
remember.
right. Okay, that's right. Feanor started the kinslaying,
Right.
and the second brother,
Was that-
Finarfin, who's Galadriel's dad.
Was that Finarfin
Exactly.
or Fin? They
Yeah, it's
all have
Finarfin.
the same
Fingolfin.
freaking name.
Yeah, Finarfin is
It's fine.
Galadriel's dad.
Fella?
No, but
Wait,
I
no.
was gonna say, but there was also Fingolfin. So I was saying,
Yeah, he
which
didn't
one
go.
Was the second?
He was
Okay,
like,
he
we're
didn't
Fingolfin
go.
staying.
is the youngest. He was the one who, when Feanor was like, let's peace out, he was like, I don't know, I think we have it pretty good here. All things considered, I like it here, and I don't want to leave.
Word. Yeah, so
That's
many
right.
F
He's
names.
so Feanor started the kinslaying. They started the Teleri started fighting back, and then that's when Finarfin, the like middle brother, was like, "Oh, okay, they're fighting our people. We'll jump in to defend them." And then this is when like that night or like the next morning, Feanor and his people stole the boats, pieced out, and then Finarfin, the middle brother, was like, "What?
You sure?
Was that for nothing? Like, that was not cool." And that's when his people have to cross. It's called like the Helicraxe or something.
Yeah.
And it's like an ice bridge.
Yep.
And like a whole bunch of people die. I'm pretty sure Galadriel's mom dies on this journey. And like, it's real bad. So they're just walking.
But do you know who doesn't die? Galadriel.
Galadriel.
My girl. My girl.
I don't know why. I was like, wait. I was like, who doesn't die? Like, I was like, who doesn't die? I was like, who is this gonna be?
You have not seen what I've seen. Do you guys
See?
remember
That
that
was
from
a
the trailer? Oh my god. Anyway,
Drama.
I know like we're not supposed to be talking
know,
about
right,
like
you're right.
works and stuff.
Yeah, well,
but and as like I don't know, middle ground, mediocre the first season was, I'm really tempted to see what season 2 is going to be like.
Absolutely.
Oh, I will
Especially
be.
because so many like streaming services and networks have just been canceling things left and
Yeah.
right. And I'm like, literally, how have y'all not canceled this $5 billion
because
show? Like,
unfortunately, for all of the reasons why we don't like Jeff Bezos, he is also a huge Tolkien
he's also a huge
fan.
Tolkien nerd.
So
Yeah.
I was never like worried about that one for some reason.
was not.
It's like, it'll be fine.
Yeah,
I'll
it's
be
like
seated and watching
Yeah.
for Galadriel alone.
Yeah, I
and,
will return for Morfydd Clark.
Yeah.
you know.
And the
And what's his name?
Sauron.
Halbrand.
Sauron.
That's
yeah,
it.
the Halbrand Galadriel of it
his
all.
name.
Yeah,
Ooh,
That's not this episode. Also, they're on
Should I
strike,
rewatch
but
this
like,
but
Anyway.
still,
eyes emoji.
you know.
man, I'm still. You know what? It's just bringing up so many memories of I was just so convinced. Anyway, okay, I can't. I'm getting all fired up.
I
It's that
know.
enemies to lovers shit that we
It's
know.
right there.
But you know,
Oh,
there's
so-
still like however many more seasons, and it doesn't mean that things can't happen.
Be brave, y'all.
Her
Like, after the
her
strike, be brave.
hairdresser
Make them kiss.
has not arrived yet, and apparently is not dead. So
I hope. Yeah, no. He leave him gone.
yeah,
We don't need him. She don't need him.
she doesn't even miss him. She thinks more about her brother than
Anyway.
she does about him. Anyway,
Look, she
that has-
crossed the ice bridge. You think she needs a hairdresser?
Come on.
She needs the help, a servant.
Think about
no.
it.
She needs a man, a fellow like-minded being. How about that?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
No, I can't believe we're arguing for Galadriel to have a man. Just
honestly, me neither.
Yeah, I mean,
it's the exception. It's the
I don't know how we got here, but it's fine. I stand by it.
It's actually wild because like I always was like, why is she married? She don't need no man. And then here I am, post a Sauron of all people. Like that's what's crazy.
But you know,
and you know what? I'm here for it.
Points were made.
Here for it.
Points were made.
Points were made. Sorry.
If they didn't want us to ship it, they shouldn't have made the chemistry so palpable.
And that little shot in the reflection where she's standing and she's the queen and
she could have been a queen. She could have been a queen.
That moment
I
when they
like
arrive in Numenor and he like pickpockets her like dagger from one of the like guards or whatever, and then like he goes to give it back to her and he like grabs her arm and like they like and I'm just like it's okay. And they like stare longingly into each other's eyes and I'm like, this is going somewhere, right? Like he's not just Sauron.
I'm like getting choked
Listen, Linda. I know. I'm like, listen, Linda. That is chemistry. Like it like master class on
whoever
chemistry.
else they bring in, like it's not even gonna. Nobody's gonna care.
Nobody's gonna care. I will not care. I
you
will
might
boo
as well
that
just
man.
make it an alternate universe. It's fine. Like go off canon. Who cares?
I think at this point I do just want like an absolute like abandon the original source material.
Abandon canon.
Abandon it. Just
What's up
go
with AO3?
alternate reality.
Everybody's already mad
Dark
anyway.
Galadriel.
Everybody's mad already.
Go dark. Just fully commit.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, speaking of Dark Galadriel,
Right.
she and her people cross over into Beleriand. So like on their way over there, Feanor and his people are stopped like in the middle of the ocean by Mandos, who is like the Hades person. He's like the underworld. And he comes over and is like, hey, oh, I forgot to mention earlier. Feanor makes all of his sons. Remember, he has 7
Oh yeah.
sons,
duh.
which is too many
Hello.
sons to have. 6
like-
too many. Honestly, 7 too many.
For Feanor, 7 too many.
Yeah.
and they all cause problems. Anyway, and it's like, hey, everyone has to pinky promise me, just like Melkor pinky promised Manwë that he was good. Pinky promise me, we're all going to swear that your life mission, no matter what happens, is to get the Silmarils back. And whether that means you turn into the worst possible person ever, get the Silmarils back. And all of his sons are like, I guess. And
Every single
it's like,
one. Like not a single one was
Every
like,
single one.
bro, nah.
but here's the
Like-
thing is, I think it just goes into like toxic parenting of like when you're
Yeah.
raised to like think and act a certain way. Like, why are you not going to listen to your dad? Like what?
Yeah.
Like what? At this point, they have no evidence to be like, maybe we should question him, except for maybe the 12-year exile. Maybe they should question him. But
It's just, I don't know. I've just, not one of them was like an independent thinker. Because you know, you always got that black sheep in the family. Like, not one.
it's true.
All of
Not
them
one.
were like, nah, we're good.
They're like, that sounds reasonable.
Yeah.
Because it's not like they don't know what oaths do. Like, they know what that means.
They know what that means.
They're not
It's
like,
they're bound to that.
yeah, this is not new magic or whatever for them.
It's so wild.
I feel like, okay, I don't know. I don't remember enough details about these 7.
Madros,
Men,
Maglor,
whatever.
Celegorm, Caranthir, Curufin, who
Oh,
is
you're
Are you
Curufin
also on the
father.
wiki?
You're reading them off.
Amrod,
Okay,
Amrys,
word.
yes.
For like 2 seconds, I was
trying
like,
to pick
bam.
out one to be like, maybe this one would have questioned
Well,
it, but
what's
I
his
can't.
name? The first one, Madros, doesn't he, that's at one point, he's kind of like, we're not going to do all that. Maybe it's about them like abandoning. We haven't gotten there yet, but when they like abandon everybody else, I feel like Madros is like, we shouldn't have did that. But he still does.
I think
the
it's
whole
Madros.
end.
Yeah.
And I
you're
think
right.
I think he also gets like kidnapped, and then his
Yeah.
one of his cousins
Yes.
comes and saves him, and so that kind of
Cousins.
so maybe Madros could have like stepped in at some point and been like, hey, hey dad,
Oh, here it is. I've got the details. I've come back. I'm like a hacker. I'm in. Madros expected that the first ship would carry Fingen? Sure.
Fingon?
That's his name.
One of them.
Yeah, okay. His friend. When he learned that, in fact, Feanor planned to abandon them and prevent Fingolfin from following, he was angry and alone of his brothers refused to help burn the ships. You know? That's
okay.
not nothing.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
He's
so
the
maybe
oldest,
there
right?
could have been some redemption for Madros. Yeah, he's the oldest.
Yeah.
Yeah, that gives older siblings.
He is the tall. It's Maedhros the tall, Maglor the minstrel, Caligorm the fair, and then if I remember correctly, Caranthir. So it's Caranthir the dark, Curufin the crafty. Those two are the ones that cause major problems for Baron and Luthien.
Yeah.
And then there's Amrod and Amros, and I think they like die randomly at some point. I don't know.
I'm like, I don't know.
They don't have. They're not special enough to get the short or
something.
whatever.
No.
Yeah. Anyway, on their way to Balerion, Hades is like, stop. Here is like what's going to happen if you continue with your course of action. Nothing good. Nothing good is going to happen. It's going to lead to like a lifetime of destruction and suffering for literally everyone involved. And you have a choice now, and you can turn back, and we will forget all this happened.
Turn back and repent for your kinslaying.
Or you can keep going and
only
see what happens.
And would you believe that almost all of them don't?
It's really wild.
Feanor is like, let's fuck around and find out. And then they do.
And they go with him. Like, I don't know. If Hades is showing up in front of me, like, it's one thing, like, yeah, we're good. You know, sometimes you get on that high when you're with a group of friends or whatever. You're like, this is such a great idea. Yeah, let's go. Oh, I'm so excited. Blah, blah, blah. But then, like, the reality of mourning hits you when you wake up and see the, like, results of your crimes the night before.
The
and you're
blood,
like,
the, like, bodies of your people floating in the water.
You're like, ooh. That hangover hits. You're like, you know what? That was bad. And I feel like that's that moment when Hades shows up. But no, all of them except I think like Finarfin and like a few people are like, yeah, let's still do it. Finarfin and some of his people go back. Not Galadriel.
No.
Which I don't want to speak ill of my girl, but she didn't go back.
She wanted to be where the people were.
Which I guess. I mean,
I don't
I'm
agree, but that's what she wanted.
There could be something to argue that as a woman elf and as a daughter of this family, she might not have had that much agency in this decision.
Her daddy, and her daddy went back, but I guess her brother stayed.
Did he?
But that is true. Yeah, Finarfin was the one that was like, "I'm going back." But
I thought Finarfin kept going.
It was Fingolfin, I think, is the second.
Oh, okay.
The problem is,
Finarfin was the youngest. Okay, that's right.
Tolkien really needed to like diversify, you know? This is doing too much.
Choose a different letter. Choose a different letter, my dude. Oh my god. Okay.
Yeah, they were all too much besties with Fingolfin's sons, which is why they stayed. Which, like, again, I respect the loyalty a little bit, but like,
it's all a mess. It's all a mess. Like, what? Who are we kidding? Every bit about this is just a hot mess. And it's like, at no point, like, no one really stepped up to be like, stop! Like, this is bad. Let's leave.
Yeah.
So they keep going. They get to Middle Earth. Woo.
And Morgoth / Melkor, whatever he's named at this point, hears that they're here. And he like shows up to fight them, and they have some battle where they're like winning and they like are able to escape mostly, but Feanor is like, I'm gonna go fight him mano a mano. And he decides to follow Morgoth into Angband, which is like his void fortress, like underground. Yeah. And it's just like filled with, actually it might not be filled with Balrogs. It might just be the one Balrog at this point. But a Balrog comes out.
He's the king of Balrogs.
It's not Morgoth. What is it? It's like Gothmog or something.
Gothmog.
Gothmog, that's it. I was like, it's the opposite of Morgoth.
Yeah, it is. I didn't think I stand the Balrogs, but I kind of do.
No,
I definitely
Balrogs
like
are
any
cool.
dragon I'm down for, but Balrogs, they kind of go. I have like a
I mess with the Balrogs.
You can't see it, but I have a little Lego Balrog on my bookshelf.
Shoot,
so cute.
Was it y'all that came on? We talked about Ralph Bakshi's
we sure did.
Lord of the Rings, and the Balrog in that movie is like, it's like a guy on like
the first time I saw it, I cried.
And he has like he's like, he looks like the Mothman, and like he's moving, so it's like terrifying. Oh fuck, what's that kind of animation style called? It's called like
is it a style? Yeah. But I think it's very generous of you to call it a style.
Yeah.
What
It
Bakshi
is though, because
accomplished.
it's live action rotoscope. I think that's what it is.
Rotoscoping.
Because they film live action and then they animate over top of it, and that's why
Usually.
there's one shot where Aragorn is like, I think it's when they're in Moria maybe, and they're like running away, and the Aragorn actor trips on his sword, and they just kept animating it and
They
kept
left
it
it
in. But yeah, that Balrog is insane. And then of course we could go into the debate about whether or not Balrogs have wings, which I was not aware was a huge
it's
point
a
of
big-
contention.
Really?
No. Do they have wings? Sub debate, are they functional wings?
Huh. You know, I
Because-
just realized. I mean,
look,
I think
let's
I
not.
knew it already, but I just realized I'm like really not in Lord of the Rings fan. Like I do not. I just like go and watch my movies when I'm feeling sad, and that's it.
I
Read the books when I'm just feeling curious.
This is only something that I learned. I learned like several years into the podcast, and it was only from like a guest who was on the show.
really?
So like it was definitely not something that came up like on Tumblr or anything. Like
Oh man.
it was, yeah.
It's contentious.
Yeah, I had no
wild.
idea. I was
I
like,
had no
wow,
clue.
damn. Yeah.
Because they're like mythical beings, they take the form of whatever
It's
they
because
want.
yeah, and
so,
it's
like,
because and like Tolkien he kind of varies in his description of it, and then like when you get into the Peter Jackson adaptation, like different adaptations will either draw them with or without wings, and then it's like, well, if they have wings, when Gandalf like goes to like smite the Balrog, why can he not just like fly away, you know? So that's when it's like, are they functional or are they decorative? I think
like
they
I
have
read
wings
about-
that are not functional.
Me
I think
too.
that's what I've decided on.
And maybe I'm like misremembering, but I feel like I had read about like a Balrog that like carried dragons or something. Maybe it was the opposite.
I
think
a bunch
it's-
of them show up at some point. I don't know.
I feel like
But I'm
it's
like,
the
they
opposite,
held,
but
yeah. But I feel like Balrogs are bigger than dragons. Maybe not.
not some of them. What
don't
is
know.
it? Glaurung or whatever?
Oh, I love him.
Glaurung
That's a
He's
big
my
boy.
favorite. He's the best.
He's the dragon, I'm pretty sure, that reveals that one of the characters is in an incestuous relationship
Yes.
with his sister.
Yep.
He has the.
It's like, hey,
he's the dragon.
I'm gonna
with
go
the
kill.
Sharingan
I'm gonna go
for
throw
the-
myself off this cliff because this talking dragon told me
Yes.
that I fucked my sister. Anyway,
I love Glaurung. Not gonna lie, he's my favorite Tolkien dragon.
It's a messy wig.
so
my
but
son.
anyway, yeah. So Feanor goes into Angband and gets his ass handed to him by Gothmog, and like in his dying breaths, he's like reminding his children of this oath that they have promised. They've sworn their lives to, that like, we promise our mission until the day we die is to get the Silmarils back, and then that leads to just so much drama.
Which, by the
pain,
way, just
death.
a reminder, at that point, he's like, remember what you promised. And they're like, yeah, Dad. Even though Hades showed up like 5 seconds ago and told us we wouldn't be able to do that. But yeah, I remember.
Yeah, it's literally like, yeah, because, oh yeah, that's another thing when Mando, he's like, you will not be able to defeat, this is what annoys me again about the Valar, is like, the Valar admit themselves. Mandos is like, you will not be able to succeed against Melkor alone. Like, it is not a feat to be taken alone by elves. And
Why did no
you
one
will not
say,
succeed. And
"Let's
it's like,
go
well, if you
back to
know,
Manwë and ask him to help."
And that you'll never get the Silmarils. He also tells them that. Like, straight up. You're not doing this. So.
And they're like, "We're gonna
And
try to
it's
do it
just-
anyway." It's like a millennia of wasting time. Like just wasting everybody's
it's
time.
so much, and like so
Like-
much death and destruction,
Yeah.
and just like,
The real villain is Manwë.
The real villain's Manwë.
yeah, if he had just stepped in at any point to be like,
Could have done anything.
I have the power to control Melkor, but I'm not gonna.
Then
That's not
just
my
chooses
problem
not to.
anymore.
Well, truth is not to until like they're like, okay, all
I
right,
guess.
y'all can't handle this, and like
Like, oh,
millions
this
are
half
dead.
elf came and asked me, so I guess. Like,
Yeah, it's not
Bruh.
until, and that's something.
Like-
is that
it's
when
Elendil, I
he
think. Or
gets
no,
the
Elendil?
Silmaril? Yeah, it's not until he gets the Silmaril and goes back over to Valinor and asks for help that they're like, these stupid rocks cause so much drama.
they really, and it's all their drama. Again, I would like to remind all of this that while Feanor is a villain, he's not the villain because Melkor is his brothers and sisters' problem.
Come on.
Hello, man.
Yep.
I mean, I'm not apologizing for Feanor. He's still
No, he's like the worst, honestly. His like personality. He brings nothing to the table.
brings
except
nothing.
Some shiny
his mommy and
gems.
daddy issues.
Yeah.
And his mommy and daddy issues.
But also, Manway could have stopped this at any time.
They honestly could have. They could have stepped in and helped at any point and did not.
Explicitly. In fact, we're like, we're not going to help you. You will fail. You will suffer.
And I hate that for you.
And that's our final word.
We're going to wait a millennia and then millennium, whatever. And then we'll come over and help you.
Ain't that wild?
So, damn. Is there anything else y'all wanted to add about Feanor?
I just would like us to speculate for a second, just for the fun of it. Like, what if the enemies to lovers did succeed? Like Feanor and Melkor.
Yo, I was literally going to ask this earlier and then straight up immediately forgot the moment the thought popped into my head. Yeah, like what would have happened if like Melkor and Feanor, like they're in that stage of like, ooh, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. And then they're like, wait a minute, I think there's something more here.
See,
what if they acted on that?
I don't think anything would have changed because I still feel like they would have stayed enemies. I feel like it would have been like an enemy. They would have had a moment, but Melkor still wants them Silmarils. Feanor still wants to go to Middle Earth. You know what I mean? I feel like the hate would have stayed.
No, see,
But it just would have added like an extra layer of like, you know, longing,
complication. They would just be like, fuck buddies.
Yeah, but not buddies, right? Like,
yeah,
fuck enemies.
Yeah.
Enemies with benefits.
Yes,
there you go.
Yes.
No, I think it actually would have like sped up a bunch of stuff, and the rings would not have happened. Here's why.
Ooh,
I think they would have like been like, you know, getting towards each other, like being drawn towards each other, so much so that Feanor finally is like, you know what? The Valar did curse us, and you know what? The only way to break this curse is to go up against it. Melkor ain't the problem, and he becomes the first lieutenant, not Sauron. Sauron is like whatever because Melkor is like, this is my man. So they're kind of like hating each other, but like it's a reluctant allyship, but also full of lust, and like they're just having sex all the time probably. And then because of that, they get a lot of power because now Melkor has the Silmarils, almost unstoppable. So the Valar have to step in. They have to do their job, and all that gets solved. There's no Sauron to like cause all the rings in the Third Age, and it's a much cleaner situation.
But in that timeline, because you know, like this idea of like Melkor's second hand and Sauron exists when the Valar step in and Sauron like survives. So like in this idea where Feanor is the like right hand man, does he like get defeated, or is he able to escape, you know, and go off and hide somewhere like Sauron was?
Ooh,
Interesting.
Ooh. Maybe you're right. He does like escape and is able, but Sauron is craftier though. So like, how is Feanor able to then?
Feanor is very like, I'm about to run at you with my sword. Like he
like
has
not to bring up.
Yeah, he's not that
no
smart.
subtlety.
Yeah.
Here's the thing: is I think he would have ended up dying at some point in that war.
Ooh, which would have made Melkor even angrier. And realize that like it wasn't just lust. It wasn't just lust the whole time, but now it's too late.
So I kind of think, Delia, I'm on a similar wavelength where I think they would be kind of like, you know, Galadriel become like, be my, what does he say? Like be my dark queen or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
I think Feanor would rather than like turning Melkor good or just like dispersing all the tension and everything, I think Feanor would just be like swayed over by a lot more, because like Melkor is hella manipulative. And I think he would have been able to hold a lot more power over Feanor in that kind of situation and relationship. And so I think he just would have like fully brought like Feanor over to the dark side, like so to speak, and he would just be very like similar. He would just be like, you know, his partner in crime, and it would just be bad. Ooh, okay. Or is there potentially like, is there a timeline or something where they make like the dark Silmarils or something, you know, or like they turn like Feanor gets the Silmarils and like turns them into like dark purposes or something, you know, something like that, you know.
That one. I like that.
Yeah.
That's
great.
really cool.
So who's writing the fanfic? Are we?
Not in the comments because it's one of y'all.
Somebody listening, tag us.
Y'all got it. I would love to read it. Please do tag us or see the fan art.
I think I've figured out how to use technology. What? Spotify has like added this like Q&A feature that you can add onto each episode.
Yeah.
So I'll add some kind of like general question. Sound off your thoughts on the Spotify, comment section or whatever. What's up? What are you thinking? How do we what's the timeline in which Feanor and Melkor were on the same, either like they're on the same team or the enemies to lovers goes to its fullest extent? What do you think happens?
I'd love to know. Please answer the question.
Yeah. Man, I'd love to pitch all of this to Jolkin himself and be like, what do you think?
I know.
We're proposing that Feanor and Melkor are enemies to lovers. And he's like, what's enemies to lovers?
Huh? Okay,
and then I have to go,
about to rock your world.
And the play, Much Ado About Nothing, Benedict and Beatrice. And he's familiar with that, and he's familiar with Pride and Prejudice.
Yep.
And then I have to be like, and then there's this movie called Lion King 2.
And that's the one. That's not the blueprint, but it should be.
And then he is so enamored that he's got to go rewrite so much lore because he's like, wait, this is going to work in so many places.
Yes. Bayana and Delia, what have we learned today?
Oh, man.
Yikes.
That Feanor is a villain, but he's not the villain.
Yes.
That's Manwë.
Yeah, Manwë is the true villain. Also, dragons and Balrog are great, and we love them, and because of them, Melkor gets a little bit more.
Yep.
Well
I don't know if we learned that so much as I brought that as my own agenda.
Y'all
learned
that.
Oh my god. Okay, well, this was perfect. Where can the good people find you on the internet? What are you working on? What are you doing?
Ooh, so many things.
You can find me at Delia is Typing in Twitter, because I still call it Twitter.
Yeah.
Instagram, Threads. I forget where else. Tumblr, you can find me there. Also, I have a podcast, Culture by Culture, which is a multidimensional exploration into Black and Asian pop cultural ties. So if you're interested in that, if that's your thing, you can check it out. The whole first season is out and the second season is coming just around the corner.
You can find, I'm still on Twitter, but I'm locked. So, you can follow me there.
That's okay. You don't have to apologize.
But I'm on that, and I'm pretty much everywhere at Yana Wrote It. And then you can follow Black Nerds Create, which is the collective that all of our stuff is housed under at Black Nerds Create everywhere, and blacknerdscreate.com. And Wizard Team is at Wizard Team Pod on Tumblr and Instagram are the main. I mostly post on Instagram, but Tumblr's also there.
Yeah, I just realized Culture by Culture is at Culture X Podcast. I need to get better at saying the ads. I'm
I
don't know how to Google,
You're
but
good.
no, the ads are important.
I'll put it all. It's okay. Sober Me will be editing this, so there will be correct links to everything in the episode description.
Boom.
Yes, hello. It is Sober Mary Clay here to tell you the usual things that you should follow the podcast on social media at TolkienAboutPod. You can also become a patron by going to patreon.com/TolkienAboutPod. And I've been doing some pretty casual streams on Twitch at twitch.tv/MCWhatsUp. Usually on Tuesday nights between 7 and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is when those kick off. Probably not so much this week because I'm very tired, but it's looking like we'll do a stream next week on Halloween, so come hang out. But I'm also here to share some exciting new things, which is that Burn Before Reading is a new podcast coming very soon to the Deus Ex Media Network. Restricted Section hosts Christina Khan and Leela Hilton have people on to talk about all the cringeworthy things that we've written in our past, like maybe that Feanor Melkor enemies to lovers fanfic. And now here's a trailer to do a much better job of explaining this very exciting podcast.
I'm Christina Khan.
And I'm Leela Hilton.
And this is Burn Before Reading,
the podcast about shiterature.
We're here to examine the terrible writing we did when we were younger.
Like that school project you were really proud of.
Or that poem you wrote when you got dumped.
Well, how about that apology letter you wrote to your mom when you got into that fight?
Or the song you recorded before you knew how to write music.
Okay, don't at me. And we're here to talk about other cringy literary topics along the way.
Like the Library of Alexandria.
And Dewey Decimal.
His name was Melville Dewey.
Oh, well, do we want to get the clips rolling?
I don't think I ever recovered from this in terms of being cool.
Why did I say any of this?
I do like the drama.
So there is actually quite a bit to unpack here.
Oh, all this drama was so addictive as a teenager.
There's no punctuation to it. I'll start with that.
I actually have no memory of this.
There were so many lies that I was telling.
It's not terrible.
No one really taught me how to write a good short story.
Listen to Burn Before Reading, coming November 1st.
Every Wednesday, wherever pods are cast.
Hi, Sober Mary Clay. Good luck, Sober Mary Clay.
I know, right? This has been great. Until next time, go water your plants because they're probably dying.